All right, Councilmember Ballard, we're ready. We are live on Facebook.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys all for being here. My name is Maggie Ballard, and I'm the council member for District 6. Tom, if you'd like to start introducing yourself, we'll just go on.
Tom James from North Riverside.
Lisa Tatum in Old Town.
Bill Washburn from Sherwood Glen.
Scott Lucas, I'm with Benjamin Hills, Pleasant Valley.
Zach Gingrich, Gaylord with Riverside.
Mark Baker, Lake Ridge.
Okay. We'll call this meeting to order, and does anyone make a motion to approve the minutes for April?
We'll do that, yes, and I'll do it for the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay, motion passes. And then we'll do, does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes for May 9th?
I will motion to approve minutes for May 9th.
Do you have a second?
Yes.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Okay. Let's move on to the fire department update.
I think usually you guys have Captain Bumgarner here from 7th on this shift anyway. I'm Keith Neiman. I'm a acting battalion chief over Firehouse 1 down on Main. So he's off duty today. He's on vacation, so I'm filling in for the DAB meeting tonight. Only 6 fire events in District 6 last month in May. Of those, 4 are undetermined. A majority of those were in vacant properties, and so it kind of a little harder to track down cause there. There's 1 accidental, and then 1 still under investigation of the 6. Pretty typical this time of year, our fire duty slows down after the winter and picks back up July and August. However, this time of year, we do tend to pick up weather-related events, such as last night, we had staff extra units and stuff when the storms come through. Kind of the public safety thing that we're pushing right now is the turnaround, don't drown. Ice streets get pretty flooded. I know that the city's done a lot of work on West Street over here and made a great difference on it, but still when the rain comes down like it did the other night or even last night, it still gets water up. So it only takes a few inches of water to push a vehicle off the road, and same with getting out of your vehicle, it doesn't take much to push you down and pin you up against something where you can't get up and breathe. So I always say, if you see standing water in the road, just stop, find another way, go, stop in, get a drink or something, and maybe a bite to eat, and then finish your trip afterwards. And don't, like I said, walk. If you do in your vehicle, also usually advise don't get out, start walking away. You don't want to get sucked underneath your vehicle or get pushed down the road. So, if you call 911, typically on those deals, we show up. Our fire trucks are tall enough, we tend to be able to drive down there where you're at. It's heavy enough to have everybody pushing. But if it's bad enough, we also have a couple boats that are usually running around that we can deploy and get some emergency swimmers in there to help get you out of your vehicle into a boat and take you to dry land, and you'll just have to come get your vehicle once the water subsides. Usually, around here, once the rain stops in a few minutes, it subsides very, very rapidly. So just something to keep in mind. We just graduated a recruit class of 11 2 weeks ago, 2 of which were among kids, which is kind of nice. Yeah. And then we are starting a recruit class of 18 next week. And so they should graduate sometime in August, September. Our academy is about 12 to 14 weeks. And then we'll have another recruit academy, hopefully starting after that in September, October. Lots of retirements. We've also found that some of our younger guys who used to stay 30, 35 years aren't staying as long and start leaving after a few years. So our turnover has been actually a little more than it had been in the past. So we're kind of doing a little more recruit classes and a little more hiring right now than we probably have in quite a while. Which is a good opportunity for people that are interested in joining the fire service. One last thing, with the closing of the bridge over here, that definitely limits our ability to get Firehouse 7, where Captain Bumgarner's at, will have trouble getting west of there. So I think the plan right now, I don't think it's all done yet, but they're working on is to open a temporary firehouse at 13th and West Street in that area. It'll probably be a steel garage with some kind of a construction trailer for our crews to stay in. But they're actually going to put a fire truck on full-time during that 18-month to 2-year time period. So if Sevens will still cover everything kind of east of the river in that area, or east of the bridge in that area. And then I assume it'll be Engine 23 would be the name of it. When they commission Engine 23, it'll be everything west of there, kind of the West Street side would be their area. And they'll still have, respond to fires inside the city and outside the city, just like all our fire trucks do, depending on their proximity. So I think that sounds like, we're being told between 18 months and 2 years by the time they start to end. I think our plan is to hopefully put that in place sometime by mid to late summer. I'm not sure the time, like I said, I'm kind of above my pay grade on what the timeline is. It's just the information we're getting on how we're gonna overcome the problem with that bridge shutting down as far as our response time to that part of your district.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
Two questions.
sure.
I better do the last one first so I don't forget.
Okay.
The unit that you're gonna put over somewhere around 13th and West,
Mhm.
is it gonna be a small pump truck or?
No, it'll be an engine, so it'll be a large engine with 4-person staffing. So the staffing typically is 3 or 4 in the city with our engines. Our engines pump the water, and our ladder trucks have the ladders, or truck companies have the ladders on top. They don't pump water, they don't carry water, so they kind of fill 2 different purposes on the fire ground. Usually have about twice as many engines as we do trucks, so we're gonna put an engine over there because truck 4 will be coming from 16s. Their response doesn't change, and the truck 1 comes from Firehouse 1. And so, if you don't have a squad, which is like little pickups that you see like Sevens have usually, the stations that don't have the pickups have 4-person engines, so they have 4 men and women on that ride those, just because we need that staffing to complete the function. So like Sevens has 5, 3 and 2. If it doesn't have that second piece with 2 people, we have 4 on the engine. So it'll be a full-size engine, 1,000-gallon minute pump, 600-gallon tank. Well, yeah, one of the big ones.
Okay. So second question,
Mhm.
I didn't forget.
Yeah.
The plans that you guys have in place, or at least what looks like a plan for the classes
Mhm.
and new recruits,
Mhm.
how's that stacking up against your known attrition?
It is barely keeping up. It's basically I wouldn't say zero sum because the addition of Engine 23, if that all works out, that will be an additional, basically 12 positions, 4 people times 3 days or three shifts. So we'll add those on. I'm not sure what happens in that 2 years with those 12 personnel, but the class they hired starts next week with 18. 12 of those, I take that back. I think 8 of those are for that 12. They come in the fall, and then the next ones will come the next class after that. So I say our attrition rate, it varies, but it's been pretty bad right now. Not bad, we got a lot of turnover. We got a lot of guys retiring. Like I said, we've kind of found it, I don't know if it's generational or if it's, I don't know. But it used to be when we hired kids on, they're like me, they came on in 1920, and they worked over, 50 to 35 or so years here, and they were retired, 55, 56. And now we're hiring kids a little older. Most are going to college first, so we're hiring 23, 24. And then we have a decent number that, 4 or 5 years, decide it's not for them, or, they got a degree in something, they want to use it, or whatever, they decide to leave. So, yeah. So our attrition's pretty bad right now. I'd say these 2 classes are to increase us by 12 total, which would be basically 4 people per day, and the rest is all just for attrition.
I'm just curious, is pay part of?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, Captain Bumgarner is probably better on that than I am because he's a little more in touch with that side of the job. But I'm sure it is. When Tulsa just ran an ad like a month ago saying that they're the next lowest paid fire department from Houston to Minnesota on the I-35 corridor, except for us, or below that. So that could be part, yeah. So and it's like that with everything. I mean, you can go to any job right now and it doesn't seem like it pays as much as it did 6 months ago, just because the way inflation and fuel and stuff is. So that's not exclusive to us for sure.
Awesome. Anybody else? Okay, great, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Please.
I'm Jeremy Diaz, I'm the Patrol South 21B coordinator, which is in the Old Town area. Down south, it looks that we're doing pretty good. One of the major trends we're seeing right now are pretty much in the Old Town area, city building area, all the meters. We're having a big case of the meters being stolen, hacked off and stolen. So, we're kind of working on that. It is most likely happening overnight hours, obviously when there's less traffic down there. So if you are down in that area and you see someone sawing off a meter, call 911. Other than that, we got Riverfest going on, so a lot of populations coming down to our area. We do have extra officers that get deployed off duty by Riverfest Inc. So there is an additional, besides all the patrol officers currently working, there are a large group of officers that are working part-time down there to help keep it a fun, safe event. That's all I have. This will actually be my last meeting. I'm getting promoted next week, so you guys will have a different coordinator from the south side. Not sure who that's gonna be yet. So, any questions for me?
Congratulations.
Thanks.
We're gonna have officers working barricaded streets after dark. Could we at least get them some reflective vests?
We do have vests, and we should be wearing them, correct?
They weren't.
We do have issued vests, nice green.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I don't know where either.
I was
Okay.
across the board. I would sign for sure.
Officer Casey Widener, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the 49B Community Policing Officer, which is the area you're in now, all the way north to Park City Valley Center area. One thing I wanted to bring up, got an email, July 9th. I'm bringing this up because I don't think we're gonna have a meeting before then, another one before then. Is going to be the Love Your Community event here at Evergreen. It's an all-day event. It's gonna start with a neighborhood cleanup activity. Angel Martinez, for those of you who know him, he's in charge of it. So he's looking for volunteers who are willing to help with this. They'll donate free food, beverages, and a t-shirt for the event volunteers. I can give you his information in just a second, but other than the cleanup, there's going to be an afternoon parade starting at 21st in Arkansas, and then it'll go to the No Mars Center on Broadway. There'll be a resource fair here at Evergreen, a car show, live music, and sports competitions. So it'll just be a full day of activities, July 9th. Do you know what time that starts by chance? I don't know. It doesn't say in this, but an all-day event.
Yes.
The neighborhood, the cleanup's early in the morning, and I think the parade starts at noon or 1. And then the car show and the other part of the event is gonna go from 1 until 5 o'clock. So those of you who are interested can contact Angel. He gave his phone number as 519-3357 or angel@wichitaBonding.com if you want to volunteer and help out with that event. That's all I have coming up. It's been a busy weekend with Riverfest and golf tournaments, and we had the Special Olympics torch run this weekend as well that several officers participated in doing that, giving out medals at the Olympics, and it was a good time. Any questions for me?
I've noticed tagging up just a little bit. I don't know if that's normal or if it is indeed.
Around this time, it seems like, yes, I've seen a little bit.
29th Street particularly.
Okay, yeah, and I'll get with Public Works and see if they can help me get that taken down. But unfortunately, yeah, it's gonna happen. But we'll try to get it taken down as quickly as we see it get put up. A lot of the times, just a comment, if you guys do see it, just make sure you report it. You can either report it straight with officer, or you can either email me and we'll make sure. A lot of the times people think that it's been reported and it hasn't, so it just sits there a little bit longer.
You can also do it on the app.
On the app, on Access Wichita, correct.
Kind of like a gunshot. I assume people are gonna report it, but the more people report it,
Yeah,
the better the
exactly.
information.
Some things I see and some things I don't, so if we can have people call, it'll help me out too. or email me even, you don't have to call 911, just email me, kwidener@wichita.gov, and let me know where it's at, and try to get it taken care of.
Does that usually go up when school gets out? Is that
School
when
gets
you
out,
get it?
yeah,
What kind
right
of
before
stuff?
school, kind of when they're recruiting, it's all times of the year, but, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Hello all, I'm Officer Atondo, Community Policing out west, and, I'll explain it here next time. I'll kind of just give a brief of what's, I don't have tons of information, but I'll let you know what's kind of been going on. Let's see, the wind surge games, we've been working on those in reference to complaints and parking in the area. And we've been doing that for going on the last month, made up several flyers. And, if we see a violation, we'll go out there and just put it on their windshield with, some of the ordinances that are on, the books and the ones that we see a lot of times are parking, in the intersection, parking, covering the crosswalk, too close to, private drive, and it covers all those in there. Just leaving the flyers, people will see us as they're walking off and they get upset. I go, no, don't get upset, it's just a warning for this time, but it is gonna be, you're gonna be getting tickets eventually. And some of it's really bad. I really don't sweat the 8 feet exactly from a private drive. But sometimes they're blocking the drive, sometimes they're setting in the intersection, and I think those ones definitely deserve a parking ticket. So, coming up, we issued out about 285 of those warnings in the last month or so. And we will be giving citations out for any kind of parking violations in the area. I did have a meeting with the wind surge folks about 2 weeks ago, and they are planning on trying to get a parking garage set up, but they said it is way down the line. 2 years maybe, I don't know. But that would hopefully help with some of the parking issues. We did have, including my partner here, we went to Camp Awareness, and it's Camp Awareness for Scouts. And it was boys and girls, it was down at O.J. Watson Park. We went to that last week, and it was supposed to be 3 days, supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm sorry, it was supposed to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but with the weather, it ended up just only being 2 days. And that was a pretty cool event. We dealt with a lot of kids that were first, second, and third graders. Some of them were a handful. One of them locked himself in one of the Johnny in the spots and wouldn't come out. We had to talk him out. And he wanted his mom and dad, so we got him out. And some of them were just like herding cats, trying to get them to stay together. It was awful. But at the end, we all showed up in our uniforms, and we had our patrol card, lots of emergency equipment. It was pretty cool. We handed out lots of little gifts for the kids, so it was pretty cool. But it was wearing. When we got done, you were tired. When we got home, man, it was. Woo. Keeper of the Plains is not on Patrol West, but we get the calls of shots fired there often, large disturbances. And the address will come out as the Indian Center, which is on me. And generally, it comes out being across the river over on the north end of there's a parking area over there. They even have cameras nowadays that monitor the area for any kind of disturbances and shots fired. There's been lots of calls over there, and I've assisted the officer that does work that area in community policing. He's had lots of issues going on. We're trying to block that park off, but I don't know what's going on with it right now at this time. But in the future, I think they're going to try to block that park off. We got Second Chance Thursday. You guys don't know anything about that. That's coming up on the 7th of July. I don't know the location, I'm sorry, but we will put that out to the media when it comes up. But it will be the 7th, it's on a Thursday. And it'll be all day, and that's where you can show up if you got a traffic warrant. or you can pass this on to anybody if they got a traffic warrant and they're worried about driving around. Hey, I might get stopped and picked up on that. You can go there and we'll just set the date for you further up, so you won't have a warrant at that time when you leave. The state will be there, and they can also help you with getting your driver's license back if it's suspended. And that's been a really good tool for us, trying to help a lot of people, just so they can drive back and forth to work. Sometimes people get behind on paying those fines off, which can rack up to thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's been a good event for us. This last Saturday, I was at Exploration Place at the drone show. That was the first time, I believe, event, and man, there was thousands of people. It was a really cool event. If you've ever seen like fireworks, it was like fireworks without the bang. It was really cool. Citizens on Patrol is going to start up. I call it that. It's actually some sort of riverside. It's down along the river where members from our Citizens Police Academy, some of the older ones that have time, they'll go down, and we have 2 little golf carts that they go down and hand out flyers to people that are asking information on where to go, how to get to some places if they're down there. We're not doing it during the Riverfest right now just because of the amount of folks down in the river. We don't want them hitting anybody, knocking somebody in the river. They do have a lot of information for the homeless. If they see folks tucked up underneath the bridges, they'll hand them information for the hot team and how they can get help if that's what they want. And then there's one last thing I wanted to bring up. We have the Kids Eat Free program through USD 259. And you can go to USD 259 and look up the sites, but I believe, Anna, is it this one of them? For the school?
The rec center.
The rec, yeah,
Rec
the
center?
Evergreen Rec Center.
Yeah, but I was looking at the list and there's several locations around town. And the dates are from May to like July, I believe. So that's all I have. Anybody else got any questions? Other than Benson? Don't raise your hand. Yes, sir.
As when you're talking about the Keeper of the Plains area, you mentioned blocking that park off. I was confused. Do you mean the parking lot or was there a park around there?
Okay, so as you go north, from Seneca and McLean, Seneca and Central, go
Yeah.
north across the bridge, and you're looping around, across the next bridge, and you're closer to NIMS, right at
Oh.
NIMS, there's a little parking area, and that's been a real bad problem.
South or the north, where the tennis is?
It's on the south, no, it's on the south side of that.
On the
Like
south,
where you
oh,
park
where you
on
have
the-
to go to the
Yeah.
people.
And so,
Okay.
when we had blocked that off, when the police, and that's actually on Patrol South area, when they had blocked that off, they moved and kids just gather there for some reason. They moved it further to the, I guess it'd be east, continuing down, and turn into, 3rd Street, continuing down over Veterans Park. We've had, large disturbances over there, fights break out, shots fired in the air, so.
Is it
It's
mostly-
that general area.
Okay.
Is it mostly at night or?
Yeah, mostly at
Okay.
night.
Because we go there a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
Definitely.
folks go down there. But for some reason, it just attracts the kids down there. And
Yes, I've seen that.
Issues happen.
Yeah. Just that parking lot is what you're trying, just restricting
that
access to the
parking lot.
parking lot.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, sir. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What about all the motor scooters going all?
Oh, I was hoping nobody would ask about that. We're stuck in between a hard place and a rock.
Rocking them?
I have thought of some ideas, but nobody thinks this is a good idea. I brought it up to the city attorney, and what I wanted to do, and I saw larger cities do this, and come up with a traffic lane where we could wave the motorcycles in and just check their license and make sure that everything is good. But there's some legality issues with that, just picking out motorcycles and doing that. We'd have to do that with every car instead of just the motorcycle.
There's constantly guys doing like wheelies and craziness on it.
They want us to chase them, and we won't bite normally, because we don't wanna chase them. Yeah. Yeah, we don't normally, they'll do it in front of us, they'll do a wheelie in front of us, and they'll look back to see if we're gonna chase them.
and we don't generally do that. So if we could ID some of them and then maybe get them with a ticket later, that's also been something brought up, but normally they have big full-face helmets on and we don't know who they are. So we also thought about, hey, if we could get the tag, we could also just send them the owner a citation, but that's kind of like you do on the turnpike if you don't pay. I thought that was kind of a good idea, but nobody thought that was a good idea either, so. If you have any ideas, email me something, please, because it's been a pain in the butt in Riverside, downtown, out west. So I saw the other day, I was off duty, they were taking out all the lanes. There must have been 150 motorcycles. And it's the little sports bikes, not the little, not the regular motorcycle. They do little wheelies on them and stuff. They took up both lanes of Central. So they took off all 4 lanes, east and westbound. So,
Seems
yeah.
like a good camera could get some photographs and capture some tag numbers.
yeah, and that's
If
also,
somebody's out
that's
there
a great
shooting,
option.
you know.
If we get a
somebody
tag
with a
number,
fast camera.
if we get a tag
Does
number, I
Sloth
would
do
love
anything
to.
with that?
I'm
Like,
sorry, what's that?
does Sloth help with any of that stuff?
I don't know for sure. But even if we have the tag number, I wanna stick it to the owner, send the ticket to them. But I was told that was not a great idea either, so. It wouldn't do us any good even if we had the tag number right at this time.
Okay, one more question, Doctor.
Yes,
You
sir.
have the motorcycle squad now, don't you? Can they get involved with
The
that?
motorcycle who?
The motorcycle police, I've seen.
Police?
Clark.
They're just like a police car, they're not allowed to chase it.
But couldn't they get into the groups and kind of patrol with them, follow in with them?
I don't know, that's a good idea, I'll have to pass that
Also, in the
on.
middle of the crowd, they're gonna probably shut down.
Yeah.
You can't outrun them.
They don't like us being in the area. They'll usually leave. I'll go through Riverside. I'll be down by the Indian Center in that open area, what's the parking lot of the water department. And they like to do their stunts. You know, if I had a place that they could do that, I'd talk to a lot of them. And they're actually pretty good kids for the most part, but there's some of them that are not. But they just want, or look, I guess there's competitions that they do throughout different states and they'll do wheelies and little shortcuts and this and that. And they're practicing doing that. And so they'll go there to those open lots and do that, but sometimes they're doing burnouts and just messing up the parking lot. So, yeah, if I could find a place for them to do those stunts, that'd be great. But I don't think anybody's gonna take that liability on, that one of them breaks their coconut out there in the parking lot. So,
Alright,
that's all I had, guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, you wanna do the library report?
Okay, hi, I'm Sarah McNeil from Wichita Public Library. Got some things to promote today for summer. Got our summer reading program that started last Tuesday and that runs through July 28th. And basically, it's open to 0 to 18-year-olds. As long as you're entering school in the fall, you're eligible to participate. You log your reading and then you earn cool prizes. For our 0 to 2-year-olds, we have an early literacy bingo, so that's something new that we're doing this year. Kind of piggybacking off of our baby bookworm program where we encourage families to do different engaging activities with their children, and then they can redeem, after 5 activities, they can redeem, they can get a book and a water squirter and an ice cream cone. Why we promote summer reading, for the obvious reason, there's a summer slide that happens when children stop reading during the school year, so the more that they can stay engaged, the better they do when they enter the fall. Our Friends of the Library are also offering a library bookmark competition. This is something they did last year, and they're encouraging kids to create their own bookmark on a 2-inch by 8-inch sheet of paper. So if you want to get a ruler out, you can do that, or you can mimic a bookmark. You can submit those all the way up until July 29th by 5 p.m. And then the winners will be printed on actual cardstock and handed out to people at the bookstore at the downtown library. They've got a bookstore there, the Friends do, and so participants will be able to see their bookmarks float around throughout the community there. We'd like to promote our digital resources for summer. So in addition to all the physical items you can borrow from the library, you can borrow digital books, digital magazines, e-books, and e-audiobooks. Just a quick factoid, in May, 40,000 digital items circulated in the library system, and 29% of that was digital material. So yay, we're doing good there. All of it is compounded in one platform called Libby. So if you have a mobile device, you can download Libby, you can borrow magazines and books and audiobooks, you can take them on the go. And what's really cool about the magazines is there's no limit. So you can literally borrow as many as are available, and then they just get returned, no late fees. So that's a great service for our community. One ongoing program we have is called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. This is something we started back in, I think it was 2018, but it encourages families to reach the goal of reading 1,000 books before your child reaches kindergarten. And studies show that just by reading to your child, not necessarily every day, but building that strong reading culture, it's not only strengthens your relationship with your child, but it helps their brain develop and then gets them ready for when they start school. So a newborn baby has about 2,000 days until they enter kindergarten. And if you were literally reading 3 books a day, you could do that in a year. So there's a lot of time to spend with your children reading, but again, just to foster that love of reading and then help them be prepared when they get to school. You can track your reading progress with Beanstack. That's our reading challenge tracker app. You can also do that with summer reading, and then if you're an adult, Read ICT, it's all the same app, Beanstack. So if you need help with that, come visit us or schedule a book librarian appointment. Those are one-on-one sessions where we can help you figure out the details and get you reading. Just lastly, some branch programming that I'd like to promote. I'm a youth services librarian, and so on Wednesday we start our story times. Those are bilingual story times. We'll offer them for 7 weeks at 10:30 in the Everdream classroom. And we'll also have school-age programming and team programming. This Friday, we're going to have some performers come and do polka. And I thought that would be kind of apropos for the community in the area. Most folks like polka music. We're going to have a visitor come at the end of the month. She was the previous youth service librarian, Carol Koch, but she's the masked storyteller. So if you've got family and you know Miss Carol, bring them down. She'd love to see them. And then on the 23rd, I'm doing a team program with virtual reality. So the library owns an Oculus headset, which is powered through Facebook, but essentially we're going to explore the ocean depth and sunken treasure. Our theme for this year's summer reading program is called Oceans of Possibilities. And so this is the first time that we've gotten to use the headset. So I'm going to test it out tomorrow, make sure it works. But it's really cool. It's an awesome technology, and I'm really excited to offer it for our teens just to get them engaged with all the different possibilities that are out there. Anybody have any questions for me?
I'm a big fan of Libby and the stuff you offer. Is it possible to request books on Libby the same, like that you add more books to it, or audiobooks
yeah.
the same way that you can with?
Yeah, there's a form on our website. There's a tab that says Ask a Librarian. Once you click on that, it goes to a page that you can either do virtual chat or you can submit a request form. And then there's a drop-down option that you can say e-book or e-audiobook. And so those go to our selectors who ultimately acquire those books later. We try not to duplicate books that the state library has, just because why, if we can spread ourselves out more, we want to do that. But I will say in the last 2 years since the pandemic, our ebook collections have skyrocketed, and then obviously over 25% of our circulation is ebooks, so we're just going to keep adding to those. One caveat to that is we lease a lot of books, we don't buy a lot of ebooks, so depending on the relationships we have with the vendors, we might have it for a while, but if we hit that click per borrowing cap, then it might not be something that we carry forever. But it's something we can definitely complement other platforms that the state offers. Awesome. Yeah?
Just talking about having kids design the bookmarks reminded me of when my son did a program where he designed a book cover.
Oh, cool.
I mean, it's been a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I just wondered if that was anything like that was still in the mix shop. They printed it up on a vinyl cover, and that was the cover for that book for, I don't know how long.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, last year they offered the bookmark program. I know there was some talk with the big read about children designing shoes to go along with the theme of the book. I don't think that really panned out, but this is another way we can
No, it's great.
get it in the hands of the kids. Any other questions? Okay, well, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is smcneil@wichita.gov, or you can call the library here, 303-8181. And yeah, we'll get you connected.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, with that, we can move over to the public agenda portion of our agenda. We don't have any scheduled items for tonight's staff meeting. Is there anybody who's here to speak on any item that is not on our agenda? All right, looks like we do have a few people. If they want to go ahead and come up here one at a time, state your first and last name and address for the record. We do have 3 minutes.
My name is Harold Schlechtweg. I live at 351 North Fern Street, approximately 2.5 blocks south of green space that NAI Martins proposes to rezone in order to build apartments. You will hear about this on the 16th. I and other neighbors, both owners of property and renters, oppose this rezoning proposal. I've yet to meet a single person who lives on Fern, Millwood, or Vine between 2nd Street and North McLean who believes this project will benefit our neighborhood. Others will give you their reasons. Here are mine. This project violates the guiding principles of the Delano Plan. The Delano Plan states that all planning should follow principles that include the following: invest in the quality of our community life and take care of what we already have. Moreover, this is not an area of opportunity for infill as defined in the Delano Plan. To meet the designation of opportunity for infill, the plan in question must, and I quote, reverse decline. Rather than reverse decline, approving this request for rezoning will hasten decline by hastening the movement of homeowners now living in the neighborhood to other parts of the city. The green space contributes to the quality of community life in Northeast Delano. Many of those like myself who regularly walk in our neighborhood will miss the 40 mature shade trees and the park-like atmosphere of this small section of North McLean. Scientists have determined that mature trees suck carbon out of the air and sequester it underground. Trees filter pollution from the air. Trees cool urban areas with their shade and lower heating and cooling costs. There are studies that show urban areas that have large trees suffer less from crime, that people are healthier when they live in the neighborhood of trees. Yet Delano is losing its trees. Since 2008, the city's park department has been removing twice the number of trees it replants. I walked within a 2-block radius of my house and counted 7 stumps. The green space proposed for eradication has 40 live mature trees. They are to be replaced by newbies every 40 feet. When McLean was widened in 1994-95, the city removed houses from the area now under question. The city took possession of the land. The city put wavy, curvy sidewalks along the site. The city told residents the land was now green space, and for more than 27 years, the park department planted trees there and mowed the grass. That land should be a pocket park, not a place for rental condominiums. Thank you for your attention to my remarks. If there are any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
You know, what I noticed is that stretch, if you start at Seneca, right there where the sculptures are, there's a pretty large green space there. And then as you go east, there's another fairly large, good-sized green space before the one commercial building that is there. And then there's the long green space that you're talking about. So, and then the river's on the other side. So this is a corridor, a river corridor in my mind. You've got river, you've got a nice green space and trees, and to my mind, it needs to stay that way. Yeah, that's the way I feel.
I think there's some other folks that want to talk.
Do we have anybody else who's here to speak on an up-agenda item?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be as eloquent as Harold, but, or prepared, but I do have a couple things to say. My name is Tommy Landers. I live at 447 North Vine Street. I've lived there since 1989. I've been a homeowner in the area for 30 plus years. Bought the house while I was still an apprentice in the electrical training program, and had a family and raised my children there. I remember when McLean was expanded. I remember when the houses that used to be along there were sold and lifted and hauled away. And so I remember all of that. And, you know, for years and years, I sat out on my front porch, and because I live just south of where Dops is, I live to the south on the same side of the street. In all of our communities, we all have things about our neighborhoods that we like, and, you know, obviously, not everybody in Wichita or wherever can sit out on their front porch and get the same vantage point that I get, but everybody else in different neighborhoods have their own unique vantage points themselves. And, you know, I can, you know, my kids have played over in that field. In the wintertime, like the river being a green space corridor down through there, during the winter when all the leaves are off the trees, and you know, you see the geese come in and land on the rivers, and if you're lucky enough, if you're out there at the right time of the day, you see bald eagles flying down that river. And so, you know, I'm not an opponent of progress, but I am a proponent of not trying to fix what's not already broken. And with that, you know, the traffic along McLean, to be quite honest with you, living adjacent to McLean like I live, you know, you grow accustomed to some degree of the traffic on McLean, but I'm telling you, living in those units where they're being proposed to live, that's an ambulance corridor down through there. I wouldn't want to live in those units that are proposed on being built. I don't know. I hope ultimately, as we always wish for everything, the right thing will be done, and so that's all I have.
I do want to make a point that the case that they're talking about will be heard on June 15th at the GAB meeting, so just so you guys know.
Do we have anybody else who's here to speak on an up-agenda item? All right, with that, we can go ahead and move with our new business, and we have the preliminary budget overview 2023-2024. Do we need the back one first?
Well, if she's filling that up, you could go ahead and put this URL, if you can see it from there in your phone or whatever.
This one right here? So it's wichitagroups.budgetstimulator.com. There you go. Right.
Okay, well, good evening. My name's Elizabeth Goldry. I'm with the Finance Department, and I'm here to present a presentation on the budget and the CIP. Go to the next one. So tonight, the outline's a little different than probably what you've expected in the past. We're going to start with the CIP, and then I'll provide an overview of the operating budget, and then move into the resident engagement section, and we have a budget simulator for you guys to check out.
So, what I can do is I'm gonna pull the PDF instead. It'll be a little bit easier than pulling up the.
Yeah, it looks funny. I don't know why. Our roads, sewer, bridges, freeways, all those big, long-term infrastructure assets. The CIP is funded with mill levy funds in addition to other sources of revenue, like water and sewer fees for service. So property taxes go to two different funds. They go to the general fund and also the debt service fund. And I'll talk a little bit more because that's where most of our discussion is. So, and also something to keep in mind on the CIP, it's financed with a combination of debt and cash payments, and I'll go into that a little bit more detail as well. Next slide. So building the CIP, there are a lot of different inputs into the CIP every year. Somebody just mentioned the community investments plan. That's something that we consider for all the projects that go into the CIP. We consider leveraging opportunities. As of late, there's been a lot of KDOT support for freeway projects, and so that's something that we consider when we built it. The operating budget impact is of course important in the CIP. Sometimes we're replacing facilities that have really expensive. We have projects like HVAC replacements, like I think this building had one, that makes us more efficient. And then other times it's an expansion project. And we have to consider the operating costs of that too. We look at the prior year CIP to get it started. We also look at partnership opportunities and community plans. Those are just some of the things that go into building the CIP. Next one. So I mentioned that the mill levy, the city of Wichita mill levy funds two different funds. One's the debt service fund. So when we talk about the CIP, it took me a lot. I thought people were talking crazy talk for like the first 5 years of my job. GO at large. So the GO stands for general obligation, which that's a type of bond, a general obligation bond. And at large means that it has no funding source that'll pay for it, except for property tax. That's where the at large comes from. So the biggest slices of the GO at large portion of the CIP are public safety. That includes the replacement of fire stations and police stations, as well as the replacement of fire apparatus. Those large trucks that the captain was talking about, those are included in the CIP. Libraries and other facilities. Parks, it's pretty self-explanatory. Those are for park projects, and then streets and heavy equipment is other types of heavy equipment, like one-ton dump trucks. So those are the types of things that the GO at-large CIP includes. We do an all-call for projects from staff. We received over a 10-year period $400 million in projects that would be in this category. We have capacity for $290 million. So obviously there's a mismatch there. So we have to go back through and look at all those considerations that were in the last slide. To develop the CIP, and we did a lot of that at the retreat a few weeks ago. Next slide. And so this is one of the reasons when I say we have $400 million in requests and capacity for $290 million. This is our, if you've been to one of our presentations or heard somebody watched it online, this is, the problem is that we have too many projects. So ideally, we stay below the blue line. And what the blue line represents is debt service payments comprising 66 or two-thirds of our revenue. So if you think of it when you go, if you were to go and get pre-approved for a mortgage, they calculated a lot of different factors. And I really doubt that they would want you to be spending two-thirds of your income on your mortgage. So it is a lot. So we're really pushing the limit with the two-thirds. But that's a best practice for this type of financing, but we don't want to go above the two-thirds. And so what happens if we're below the two-thirds is that we're permanently financing projects with cash. So next one. So one of the things that we've been modeling as staff at the behest of the city council is paving dirt streets. There are a lot, it's enough of them that it's expensive to figure out how to finance it, right? So they're not everywhere, but there are a lot of them and they make an impact on the neighborhoods that they're in. So the city council is considering two options for paving the inventory of dirt streets. One thing, if you've been a frequent watcher of the CIP, is that you'll notice there has been a pretty steady increase each year in the amount of funding that's allocated for street maintenance. That is included in the CIP. So one concept is to, as the CIP funding for street maintenance increases,